Here, but hey, check out the latest episode of Boston Has Entered the Chat. Travis Thomas and I do the post-Super Bowl breakdown. Eagles' big win, what it means for Brady versus Mahomes, and the whole legacy of everything, and what it means for the Chiefs moving forward. Also, we talk about halftime with Kendrick Lamar absolutely throwing it down, and once again, putting Drake in his grave. And finally, Drew Bledsoe. Yes, the Drew Bledsoe stopped by the show to talk with Travis. You want to catch that full interview? Check it out on Boston Has Entered the Chat, wherever you get your podcast. Now, let's get to Rush. What's up? What's happening? George Balekji here with Travis Thomas. This is Foxborough Rush. Appreciate you guys making us a part of your day. T, how we doing, my man?
I'm doing great. In fact, George, as you know, everything comes down to gambling for me. So I'd like to take a very serious moment here at the top of the show and thank, from the bottom of my heart, sincerely, Jalen Hurts for getting Super Bowl MVP that I bet on, plus 350. Thank you, Jalen Hurts, for your contribution to my pockets.
Hey, you know who I'd like to thank?
Who?
Jalen Hurts as well.
Oh.
Because from the bottom of my heart, I had Eagles future to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So Jalen, thank you so much. Saquon, thank you for getting him there.
Yes.
Devontae Smith, anytime touchdown.
How about that?
Feels good. Feels good. Quick before we get into it, hey, we're going to talk a little bit about Robert Kraft saying it was all Mike Vrabel and hiring Josh McDaniels. A little bit on Matt Patricia talking about how he became the OC for the Pats that one season, and also taking some victory laps. I think it's more of a revisionist history. And Bill O'Brien, yes, the Bill O'Brien, head coach of the Boston College Eagles football, but former Patriots offensive coordinator who learned under Josh McDaniels, who hired Mike Vrabel when he was in Houston, joins the show as well. We'll have that one later on, and we talk all that and more. Trav, real quick. Eagles won 40-22. What does that mean to you in the all-time legacy, Brady versus Mahomes?
I mean, obviously, Brady's the GOAT. What I'll remember looking back on that Super Bowl, George, is more about that Eagles' dominant defense than anything.
Yeah.
I mean, that defense was hellacious. And that Super Bowl looked a lot like the Super Bowl where Brady was with the Buccaneers and they beat Patrick Mahomes. Remember, it wasn't so much about Brady's greatness in that game as it was the Buccaneers' front seven, that defensive line, those backers, wreaking havoc on Patrick Mahomes. That's what I'll think about with this Super Bowl as well. The Eagles' defense is really what stifled Patrick Mahomes and that Chiefs offense. But even if they had three-peated, George, I still wasn't willing to go where a lot of people were already going and ordaining this kid the GOAT. Now, I don't want to hear any of that nonsense until he gets more rings or as many rings as Tom Brady, which I personally don't think is going to happen.
I think he gets there.
He may.
But he's not the GOAT yet.
But you can't have the debate until he gets there.
You got to win. You got to win. You're right. And I'm going to say with that Eagles defense, and that's what the difference maker was.
Yeah.
Dude, he dropped back to pass. Patrick Mahomes dropped back 42 times. He was blitzed twice.
That's right.
Twice.
That's right.
Blitzed 2 times.
Yep.
When you have a dominant defensive line, as they've done all season long, and Vic Fangio, credit to him, man. I think he started coaching in the NFL mid-'80s.
Wow.
I came in as a linebackers coach for the Saints. First Lombardi trophy, first Super Bowl ring he's ever won. Shout out to him, longtime assistant coach, one of the better DCs ever in the game.
Yeah.
Longtime DC, never got a ring until now.
Yep.
Here are the Chiefs drives the length of their plays, real quick. 4, 3, 3, 3, 3, 1, 3, 5, 5, 5, 1, 12.
Wow.
That was the second to last drive of the game for them. They didn't have a single drive go longer than 5 plays until the fourth quarter.
Dominance.
Until the fourth.
Dominance.
They didn't have a single drive last longer than 3 minutes until that same one that went 12 plays.
Yep.
Chiefs defense played well, but when your offense can't show up like that, you're going to leave your defense out to dry eventually, and that's what they did. Saquon didn't dominate. It was Jalen Hurts. It was A.J. Brown constantly beating those cornerbacks. Trent McDuffie, who's an all-pro caliber type of corner.
Yeah.
That defense took Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
You could say the second greatest head coach and quarterback of all time.
Sure.
And made them look like dust.
Yeah, they did.
In the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
2 weeks of prep made them look like dust.
Say what you want. Brady never got blown out in the Super Bowl.
Nope.
And the one he
always gave his team the lead late.
The one he was getting blown out.
Put up 32 points.
He came back and he won it, right?
Oh, yeah. 28-3, yeah.
Just saying.
The fact that you could go the one he got blown out, and I was thinking they put up 32 points. He only lost by 8. To your point, he's down 28-3.
Yep.
And he leads the greatest comeback of all time.
Yeah.
Man, it's just
the GOAT
insane.
debate is over.
For now. Can't close a book on it yet. All right, let's get into a little bit GOAT talk with one of the GOAT owners in the NFL.
Bah. I've had eagle noises, goat noises. I mean, I'm going to work some sort of animal.
Give me an Eagles call real quick. Give me it.
That's more like pterodactyl.
That was good. No, that was very impressive.
That was Jurassic.
No, that was good.
You think so?
I've never heard an eagle, but I think I just did. So Eagles dominated in the Super Bowl. Robert Kraft, interesting comment, though, he made earlier this week. So Chad Graff of The Athletic spoke with Robert Kraft earlier in the week, asked him about the Josh McDaniels hire. You see it on your screen. I'll read it to you, too, if you're listening. Quote, this is what Robert Kraft told Chad Graff of The Athletic. Quote, when we interviewed Mike Vrabel and asked whom he might be interested in bringing on without a pause, his first one was to bring Josh McDaniels because he thought it would be something very special for Drake Maye. Their experience and chemistry together is very positive. I think that was a good development. From every way you look at it, I think it's a win-win. It was his decision. Josh was very excited. Hope we get the fruits of the potential positives out of that. He has a pretty good history of developing and dealing with good quarterbacks and developing an offense that can really produce. End quote. Robert Kraft. Trav, let me ask you this.
Yep.
Why?
I think there's partial truths here. I believe this, except I don't think it was Vrabel that brought Josh McDaniels to the table.
No.
I believe Vrabel was on board with it.
Yeah.
I do believe there was without pause, as he said. I don't think Vrabel went, well, I don't know. I think Vrabel was like, yeah, great. Josh is fine.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't really believe is that Vrabel brought it to the table. We know damn well Robert Kraft did this and said, hey, we're thinking about going back to Josh. What do you think? And Vrabel was like, of course. I love Josh McDaniels, and it'll be great for Drake Maye. Cool. I don't know why you just don't say that, because everyone already knows in recent years, let's just say post-Bill era, you've been meddling. We've already heard all the reports of the notepads from Jonathan and all the nonsense. You're meddling, okay? So it's fine. Like, you can just say it was mutual. We both thought Josh would be great for Drake. I don't love the narrative that this was Vrabel's idea. I don't believe that for a second.
From every way you look at it, I think it's a win-win. That's what gives me that, Rob?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Robbie?
Right.
Robbie Kraft?
I think Vrabel was cool with it, George.
Yes.
You know, I don't think he batted an eye, but it's just like, just say that. Just be like,
What I love is it's when we interviewed Mike. Stop right there. Trav, you've been in so many job interviews, as have I. Yep. And whether you're interviewing to be a waiter at a restaurant or to be a host at Nesson, which I'm so happy you interviewed for, and I know you crushed because you're you're so charismatic. When they ask you questions, anyone asks you a question in any interview, man, let me take you to a first date. When she's asking you questions, you're not thinking how I'm going to answer. You're thinking, why are they asking? And what answer do they want to hear? Right. So when Robert Kraft goes, we want to hear your full plan. Who would be our offensive coordinator? He's going, I want this effing job. So I'm going to go, Rob, I think would be great? Josh McDaniels.
Oh.
Because he's just saying what he wants to hear. So I'm not saying you're wrong, T, because I agree with that. This was Kraft's idea,
of course
Jonathan or Robert. But Vrabes is like, I want to get this job. He probably knew he already had it. But he goes,
placated.
You know what? Let me just check every box. Let me not leave any room for error out there. Let me not give them he doesn't want Josh. He wants so-and-so.
Yeah.
No. He was like, I'm going to get Josh McDaniels on this. I just love I think it's a win-win.
Yeah.
I think it's a win-win that Mike Vrabel, and it is a great hire. But it's like, I think it's a win-win that Mike Vrabel wants to bring Josh McDaniels, who, by the way, lives a stone's throw from the stadium.
That's right.
Who, by the way, could still be getting paid by another team. Who, by the way, take a little pay cut.
Of course he will.
Well, how you brought Josh. You brought Todd Downing. The Jets are still paying him.
Yeah.
What was Todd Downing with the Jets? Well, now he's in this role with us. Let's keep Todd on. Let's keep Todd.
Keep it in the family,
Good
right?
old TD, Todd Downing. Yeah, it's his little pay cuts.
Yeah.
Vrabel's doing what he has to do in that interview process, that interview scenario, what have you.
Yeah, I think some of this, too, this narrative that Jonathan Kraft picked Josh McDaniels is sort of a cop-out, because if it doesn't work, and let's say a couple seasons from now they decide, you know what, we're going to move off of Vrabel, then I guess Robert Kraft could spin it like, well, that was Vrabel's decision to bring it. He could kind of absolve himself from or
no, you're right.
How about the reverse? If a couple years from now it doesn't work out, but Drake Maye is playing well, Drake Maye's development has gone really well, the offense looks good, and the defense stinks, and they get rid of Vrabel, well, now Robert Kraft can take credit and say, I really wanted Josh here when we hired Vrabes. We know the past doesn't work for him as a head coach, but we believe in Josh. He's been a part of the Patriot organization. We're going to go ahead and give him an opportunity to coach this team. So however it kind of works out, I could see Robert Kraft sort of spinning it to make himself look good.
You know what it would be? If McDaniels and Drake, I'm like dragging my nails on my teeth.
What's going on?
I'm like a wicked witch concocting a plan here. I love stirring the pot, man. I love stirring the drink.
What are you making spells?
If it doesn't work out, T, follow me.
Where are we, Salem right now?
If it doesn't work, I love Salem, Massachusetts. Hey, you and I got to get breakfast at Red's one day.
I haven't been there yet. I haven't been to Salem at all.
You let me know when you're going. I'm tagging along.
All right.
Anyhow, look, 2 years from now, look into my orb.
That's an orb?
Offense isn't clicking. Drake Maye's looking good, but not taking the leap. It kind of plateaus. Wide receivers aren't adapting.
Why is it
looks
glowing?
Outdated. This is what goes, well, I let Michael hire the OC. I'm going to be more hands-on. I want more checks and balances. I let him be, and look what happens. So I'm going to hire the offensive coordinator. That's what it would be.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, it was all Mike. Mike hired him. Mike Vrabel brought him up in the interview, and I go, wow, that's a great idea. I didn't think of that. And if it doesn't work out, hey, it wasn't me. I didn't. You guys, all you guys talking to us, Trev. You guys, the media said it was all me. No, it was all Mike. Well, we're going to let Josh go.
I tell you what, man, I don't know. That was rich. I mean, between the orb and the spell and the concoction and your Bob Kraft, there was a lot going on right there,
If we had the music bed to our director, Jay, give me like the Witchcraft, Salem, Halloween Town, like theme music. I don't think we do. I don't want to force that on him.
But I got to bring you a broomstick so you could just start in a hat.
You know what
just
I'll
start
tell you?
riding around through the studio.
Quick aside, I love Salem, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the witchery. Is it unique? Is it cool? Yeah.
Yeah.
Have I bought stones from a certain witch's store? Yes, I have. Hey, bro, I'll take whatever I could get. I
had no idea you were Elvira all this time. I had no idea.
But I'll tell you what's great about Salem.
Yeah.
The food.
Yeah.
And the water, as in it's right on the water. Get yourself a nice lobster roll.
Okay, all right.
A little margarita.
Oh,
yeah, see?
That's just my language.
Talking your speed. It was funny. I went in to a store. I literally looked it up. And I was like, it's a good witch store, good reviews. Like the witches work there. Like I went in knowing, hey, what's up, witches? But in a nice way. Like, hey, what's up? But so I walked in. I wanted to get sage to burn. New house.
What's up, witches?
What's up, witches? I wanted to get sage to burn because a new house, get the old spirits in.
Kyrie?
Yeah. I did open all the windows. It's actually nice, Trav. It's actually nice. I want you to give it a go.
I would like to do that. I want to go to
Burn
Salem.
sage. You get the old spirits out.
Yeah.
And you put your intentions into your new home. For me, it was, hey, just give me safety, peace, happiness, love. That's all I want.
Fair.
A place to host friends. All right, now you're with me.
Yeah.
So I walk in, I go, hey, how can I help you? I'm like, hey, I'm looking for some sage to burn. And they go, it's actually not in our culture. And I was like,
wow.
And I was like, hey, sorry to assume. What do you guys got for me? And they hooked it up.
Wow.
Really nice witches in Salem. Literally,
that's not in our culture?
Yeah, but then I went to another witch store and they had sage, so I don't know.
That's interesting. Yeah. I think you went to Mean Witches at the first one, huh?
It's kind of like if you're Catholic or you're Christian, I guess, Like
really?
Some people kneel during Mass. They call it Mass. It's service. You know what I mean?
I guess so. I still want to go to Salem despite this story. I mean, I'm all in. I don't care.
I'll take you to the witch store. They're nice witches.
Just because of that story you told, every place we walk in, I'm going to say, what's up, witches? Hello, I am looking for the witches.
If you're enjoying the show, football talk, witch talk, Salem Mass talk, be sure to check out Nelson's Daily Sports Podcast. Boston has entered the chat. We talk about all the trending sports news in Boston and around the country. Available on Amazon, Apple, Spotify, Twitch, YouTube, wherever else you get your podcasts. That's Boston has entered the chat. Drew Bledsoe, Patriots legend, stopped by the latest episode, so check that out. Well, now I'll toss into our interview with Bill O'Brien, head coach of Boston College Eagles football, also former Patriots offensive coordinator and former Texans head coach. You wonder why are we bringing up the Texans? Listen right here in the interview with B.O.B. He's Bill O'Brien, head coach of Boston College football, now on Foxborough Rush. Bill, appreciate you taking the time. How are we doing?
We're doing good, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. Always fun to talk about BC and the Patriots and all that. So thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, we're going to take a nice walk down memory lane, your Pats days. And, of course, we got to talk about your guys at BC, especially Donovan as a Rockwoo as he's getting ready for the NFL. But I actually want to start with your time with the Texans, Coach, because you take over as a head coach. You bring in Romeo Crennel as your defensive coordinator, and then he brings Mike Vrabel as an assistant. What stood out to you as a guy that you were around when he was a player with the Patriots, now that you saw him in that coaching role where you're like, this guy has something to do as a linebackers coach?
Yeah, that's a great question. Look, so we met each other right away. When I got hired at the Patriots, I was like lowest guy on the totem pole, and Mike was, obviously a player there, but he was the type of player that, he was like a captain and he knew everybody. It didn't matter who you were. You could be the third equipment guy, you could be the second video guy, you could be the quality control guy on offense. He's going to know who you are, and so we had a relationship there, and ran the scout team, and he would be on the scout team and things like that. It was pretty cool relationship. And then when I got into coaching, I went to Penn State. He was at Ohio State. I tried to hire him there at Penn State, but he wasn't going to do that. But when I went to the Houston Texans, I hired him to be the linebacker coach, and he was great. I would say the things that stood out to me, obviously, that a lot of people have spoken about, is just a really intelligent guy, but had a way of communicating and connecting with people, right? He could really develop players because he really got to know them, and he understood the game, but he understood them off the field. He understood where they came from, whether it was, Jadeveon Clowney or Brian Cushing or Whitney Merciless. Like, he developed a lot of really good players at Houston when he was there, and it was great to have him on the staff.
And then once Romeo Crennel is done with the DC role, you promoted him. Was that a no-brainer for you? Where you're like, I've seen enough. I want you leading this defense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was a guy that even when he was a player at the Patriots, what always stood out to you about him and Teddy Bruschi and Rodney Harrison was their ability to see the whole picture, to be able to communicate and understand what was going on both with their package defensively, but also what was going on offensively. And he carried that into his coaching career. He did a great job, like I said, coaching the linebackers. So it was a natural progression for him to be the defensive coordinator. We weren't great that year. We had a lot of injuries. We had a lot going on in Houston that particular year. But he did a hell of a job as an assistant coach for me. And then obviously in 2018 he got the Tennessee job.
Coach, this feels like a big old family reunion because you know and love and have worked with Josh McDaniels as well. And obviously most Patriots fans feel comfortable with him as the offensive coordinator because we've seen this movie before. But I want to ask you, what can we expect with McDaniels and Drake Maye? Because this is a movie we have not seen before. What do you sort of anticipate, knowing what you know with Josh, seeing what you've seen with Drake Maye? How do you sort of see this marriage working out?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great marriage. I mean, if you look at Josh's career, obviously, his time with Tom Brady, everybody understands that, right? Several Super Bowls and all the great offensive numbers and things like that. But he also coached other guys, right? He coached Jimmy G, he coached Jacoby Brissett. He had Matt Castle. When he was playing. So he was able to deal with all kinds of different quarterbacks and understand how to fit the system around what they could do best. And I think that's what you'll see with Drake. And Josh has spent a lot of time, I think, in his year off, away from football. He spent a lot of time studying the game and studying, college offenses and professional offenses, and he'll bring a creativity to the offense that I think will be awesome. I owe a lot to Josh. I learned a ton from Josh when I was there, and he's a great friend, and it'll be fun to watch his offense in New England.
Yeah, you mentioned it when you got to New England. You were the low guy in the totem pole, right? Well, you were an offensive assistant, and wide receivers and quarterbacks, and all under Josh McDaniels. We always hear how this system's complex, how it's demanding on the quarterback. What can you point out about this system, though? Sure, it's complex. Sure, it's difficult. But this is why so many quarterbacks are so successful in that system.
Yeah, I think it is difficult because it's a very difficult position to play. Like, it requires, a really good intellectual capacity to learn. It's a whole different language that you're learning. It requires obviously great talent, an ability to process information very quickly. But the reason why it's demanding on the quarterback is because basically the quarterback in this system is an offensive coordinator on the field. He's going to be able to, get the play call and be able to, get us into this play or do this, have choices of what to do. And I think that's what makes it so demanding to learn, because when you get out there on the field, we're going to give you the keys to the car. And I think that's what Josh, all of us, I think, do a great job teaching that. Josh will do a great job teaching that to Drake Maye, and he'll get the keys to the car here and be able to run the offense the way Josh wants it run.
I know on Saturdays you're coaching your guys, not watching them. You're coaching them. What you've been able to see of a Drake Maye, though, what have you seen that you go, okay, that's a guy, he's making those throws, but more importantly, he's making those reads, maybe the checks at the line of scrimmage, where you go, that's a guy that can grasp an NFL system and continue to get better in the IQ department, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, I have seen him, not every game, but I've watched several games with him, basically on TV, my TV right here to the right. And the one thing that stands out right away about Drake is his personality. He's very calm. He takes the game as it comes to him. Like he's not really a jumpy guy, right? He's very calm as to how he approaches the game. He's very instinctive. You can tell he's a good communicator at the line of scrimmage with what they were doing last year. And I thought they did some good things last year, right? And then obviously he can get himself out of trouble because he's a really good runner. So I think he has the ability to approach the game the right way. He's not a nervous guy. He's a guy that allows the game to come to him, and then he does a good job of making adjustments. He can communicate with his teammates, and I think those are the qualities that'll be required of him in this new system.
Coach, whenever we have a football mind on the show, I try to learn something. And I want to ask you this, because the Patriots coaching staff is now set, and you've talked about Doug Marrone, you've talked about Todd Downing, you've talked about all these guys. But I do want to ask you, so I wanted Wes Welker as a wide receivers coach, and that was being floated out there. He could be a guy, and this is no knock on Wes, obviously, but they go Todd Downing. You spoke about how big of a hire that was specifically. That was a quote, big hire for the Patriots. Football mind, can you explain that to me? Because fanboy over here, I'm like, Wes Welker with the receivers is a no-brainer, but coaching football mind says no, Todd Downing is a great hire. Please break this down for me.
Yeah, look, Wes worked for me in Houston, and he did a great job. So he would have been a great hire too. He played, as you know, and he was a really detailed teacher when it came to teaching the position. The reason why I think Todd Downing is a good hire is because he's kind of done it all, right? He's coached different positions. He's run an offense. He knows what the big picture looks like. I know Todd. He's a detailed guy. He's a guy that'll fit in with Josh because he's got a great work ethic, and he'll be able to help Josh in the passing game and things like that. And so I think there's a lot that goes into that. I think Mike Vrabel is very familiar with Todd. He's worked with him in Tennessee. He knows what Todd is made of and how he teaches and things like that, and the detail that goes into how he teaches route running and things like that. So I think Todd's a great hire.
Conversely, how about Doug Marrone? I mean, you spoke about this as well. Great hire. It's obvious you like the staff here. Talk to me about the Doug Marrone hire as well.
Yeah, Doug and I go way back. We've known each other since 1995. We coached together at Georgia Tech for several years. We coached together at Alabama. We coached together here at Boston College. So we've known each other a long time. Our wives went to BC together, so they were roommates at BC. So we know each other really well. He's one of my best friends. I think he's a great coach. When I was a younger coach, I learned a lot from Doug. He was the O-line coach at Georgia Tech. I was the running back coach. He would spend a lot of time with me and teach me about protections in the run game and how to develop players and things like that. And I think over time you've seen Doug be able to do that at the New Orleans Saints. When he was at Alabama, his ability to develop players and really connect with players, similar to Mike, I think Doug will do a hell of a job as the offensive line coach in New England. He'll do a great job coaching those guys and developing them. That's the key with that offensive line. If you think back to all of the offensive linemen that have played over the years in New England, they've all been developed. There was a starting point, and then they were developed to a certain level, a high level, and that's what Doug's able to do too.
What exactly about Doug Marrone brings that element into it? Because if you look at this Patriots offensive line right now, everyone's thinking they got to get 5 new starters. Hey, if Cole Strange is something at center, or say it's David Andrews, Layden Robinson makes that leap at left guard, Mike Onwenu, we know what he is as right guard, Caden Wallace, year 2 out of Penn State, could be a right tackle, and we can see what happens at left, free agency, draft, what have you. What about Doug Marrone makes him so good at developing that talent and getting the most out of the guys that he already has around him?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think he's a really good evaluator, so he's able to evaluate the player and say, okay, this guy can be a tackle to guard, or a guard to tackle, or a guard, and he can play some center. He's a center and he can play a little bit of guard. So he'll be able to evaluate the players and what they do best, and then with that evaluation, now he's able to understand how to teach this guy, how to drill the guy, what he needs to get better at, what he's really good at. And then offensive line is all about technique and detail, and then bringing them together and having them communicate very well together. That's the key. You got 5 guys that need to be on the same page when the ball is snapped. And so I think Doug does a good job of coaching all that, right? His ability to evaluate, his ability to put the guy in the right spot, to teach the guy, to drill the guy on the things that he needs to know to get better, and then his ability to coach the communication up front that it's going to take to execute Josh's offense. So I think that's why he'll do a good job.
Hey, you're enjoying the show? Foxborough Rush? Well, we got new episodes that drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, available wherever you get your podcasts: Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeart, and the podcast app on your iPhone as well. You can also watch the show, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch as well. Yeah, I love that. All 5 guys seeing as one. That's what you need. I'm sure you heard that a ton being around Dante Scarnecchia, the GOAT of assistant coaches. I got to talk wide receivers, though. How important in your eyes is it to have a true wide receiver one, a dominant pass catcher in this system, in this offense for Drake Maye, and for Josh McDaniels to help him out with his play calling?
Yeah, look, I have a strong belief in how Josh thinks about wide receivers. There is a number 1 wide receiver. If you think back to probably the greatest wide receiving core arguably in the history of the NFL was the 07 wide receiving core in New England, right? You had Randy Moss. He was the one. You had the other outside guy, Dante Stallworth. He was the speed guy. He could run go routes and do different things for Tom. And then you had the slot. That was the number 3 guy. That was Wes Welker. I think. And then there was a 4, right? The 4 was usually a guy like Jabbar Gaffney back in the day that could do everything, right? He could play outside. He could play inside. And so I think Josh will construct it that way with Mike. And then those guys will go out and be able to execute the routes and be able to execute the passing game with Drake. But it'll take a while. I mean, they've got to teach that. They've got to put that in place, and it won't happen overnight. But I think they'll approach it the right way, and you'll see it get better over time.
Coach, I want to transition to BC now, and I told you I'm always trying to learn something. You are such a unique person to interview in this case of when you were at Penn State. No NIL, no transfer portal. It was traditional college football, right? And now at BC, the world has changed. There's NIL, there's transfer portal. I mean, recruiting's different. Talk to me about that transition, and then we'll talk about BC.
Yeah, I will say this. When I was at Penn State, if you think back to then, there was these terrible sanctions that came out. Right?
That's right.
So we actually did deal with the portal right away because those kids could actually leave and go anywhere they wanted. It was unique to Penn State at that time, but we had to recruit them back to the team, and we did lose some guys. So we are kind of, a lot of us here were with me at Penn State. We are kind of familiar with that, because we went through it 12 years ago. But there was no NIL. You're exactly right about that, right? So there's a lot of differences in college football now. I think the big key for us at Boston College is who we have to, be who we are, right? We're a smaller school. We're a really good academic school that plays good football in the ACC. We're in the greatest city in the world, in Boston. We're only 15 minutes from downtown Boston. We have a lot of great things to sell here, and our guys can also be compensated. We're a part of the NIL game in this new transition to this world of college football. And, I think our guys are understanding that, but they're also saying, you know what, hey, man, this place is going to develop me to be a good football player. It's going to help me academically to get this education, to be able to do that when football is over. And then we do a lot in the community. And I think that's the big thing about BC, where a man for others is the big theme of Boston College, and we try to live that every day.
Yeah, year one for you guys. Go 7-6. You have the big wins beginning of the season and a tough onslaught of an ACC schedule. Yeah. But when you got in year one and you looked at, now I'm back in college football in a way of a head coach, I'm at Boston College and I'm working in this new world, what was essential for you guys to have this success from day one? Whether it's the players that you were able to inherit and the guys you're like, these guys are leaders, or for you with the staff you may have built around you, what made you so successful year one in Boston College as an entire program?
I think one of the things we tried to do right away when we got here is we have a lot of experience here, right? So we have 86 years of NFL experience on this staff. Mm-hmm. So we do have an understanding that the number one thing is the relationship with the players. So we tried to connect with the players right away, whether it was one-on-one or position meetings or unit meetings or team meetings, to try to explain to them who, this is what we believe in, but also to learn about them. A lot of interactive meetings so that they could understand what we were about, but we could also understand, hey, how did you end up here at BC? Where are you from? Tell me about your family, all those things that go into building chemistry. And I think we did a decent job of that. So we were able to implement our system. The guys believed in it. They bought into it. We talked before we got on air here about guys like Donovan Ezaraku and Ozzie Trapillo. They bought into it right away. So they led the team. And that helped us because we had some players, older players, that really bought into what we were talking about. And that helped us early on. We want to be better than we were, obviously, but I think we got it on the right track because we tried to connect with these guys right away.
Hey, you mentioned it. We were talking about it before. Donovan Ezaraku came on this show. We had Trayshawn Ward, Ozzie. Donovan, he leaves, and we go, all right, this is the official Donovan Ezaraku podcast.
We love him. Coach, we love him.
Hey,
we love him.
Tremendous.
I'm a NFL GM, and I call you, and I go, hey, I'm watching the film on Donovan. What else do I get with him? What is your pitch of this is why you got to pick this guy?
Having been in that league and been a head coach in that league, that's the type of guy you want in that locker room, right? He's already a pro, right? His approach to every day, he's very organized. He's very smart. He's able to understand the work ethic that it takes every single day. He shows up every day. He's not an up and down guy. He's the same guy every day. And he's a very, very bright guy. He's a great ambassador for BC football. And I think at the end of the day, anybody that has an opportunity to draft this guy, excuse me, at the defensive end position, he can rush the passer. He plays good against the run. He plays hard. He's smart. You can do different things with him. You'd want this guy in your locker room, no doubt about it.
Hey, well, Coach, just so you know, I have a petition going around for the Patriots to get this kid. I'm getting everyone to sign it that I can. Yeah. I don't even want him to leave town, Coach. I want him right here with the Patriots. I got to ask you this, man. You look at the ACC. Your boy Chapel Bill now with the Tar Heels. Look, we have all day. We'll have you on. I hope that you like George and I, and we get an invite to the Bill O'Brien podcast so we can talk football in terms of, when you guys face the Tar Heels. We got time for that. I just want to go back to the beginning. Were you shocked? Because I'm still in shock that Bill Belichick is coaching UNC. Are you shocked by that? And do you think at some point he's going to end back in the NFL passing Shula? Because I can't for the life of me think that this is where it ends for Bill Belichick and UNC.
I think for Bill, I haven't spoken to him about this, but Bill has a strong belief, like we all do, in our program and, how we develop players both on and off the field. And so, I don't think really he probably had that total opportunity to do that in the National Football League. So here he had a place in North Carolina. It's a good school, good facilities, good area of the country. And so he probably felt like, hey, man, I can really implement my system here and really have an impact on young guys' lives. Relative to the future, I have no idea. I wouldn't be able to go down that road. But, I think, look, he's a competitor, and we're in the ACC together. But, obviously I owe a lot to Bill. I'm friends with Bill, and, we'll see each other at the ACC meetings. And I think it's great for college football And it's great for the ACC that, we take a lot of grief. The ACC takes a lot of grief, but really, Bill just came into the ACC, so I think that says something about the ACC too. So I think it's great for the ACC. It's great for college football.
Yeah, I mean, ACC with 2 playoff teams. And when your schedule for 2025 came out, the way I look at it, coaches, I'm like, all right, I can't wait to go to the Heights. And what teams am I going to watch take on BC in person in the Heights? Clemson, UConn, Notre Dame, SMU, Georgia Tech. You have all of them at home. Those are 5 damn good teams, a national champion runner-up, 2 playoff teams. UConn is not the UConn of the old. That is a great team now. When you're a head coach and you got your home road splits and you see you got those 5 at home, what went through your mind? Like, man, can't wait for our fans to get behind us and take these guys on.
Yeah, I was very excited for Boston College. Those will be very difficult games. We're not going to sit here and tell you anything different than that. Those are going to be games that we're going to have to be very prepared for. We're going to have to do a great job because they're so well coached. You're talking about great coaches and Dabo Sweeney and Jim Mora and Marcus Freeman and you got guys coming in here that are renowned head coaches with really good teams with good players. But I think it's great for BC, right? I think it's great for Boston. I tell everybody it is a pro sports town. We know that. It's a city of champions. It's an incredible city. I grew up 20 minutes north of here. I love it. But we play on Saturdays. And so the Patriots play on Sunday. So how about come check out BC? Let's get 60,000 people in this stadium. When these teams come in, let's be loud, make it difficult on them. And then the next day, go watch the Patriots play the Jets down in Gillette. So I think it's important that we sell that to the city of Boston, to our fans, because we do have an awesome home schedule and our players are excited about it.
Hey, we can't wait. I mean, one of my favorite things, especially when I first moved here, living in Brighton, take a quick green line over, a little walk through Newton, end up in the Heights. One of the best game day environments in college football. I love Alumni Stadium because you are on top of the field. You're right there behind the players. So it's always awesome watching.
Coach, he left all the drinking out. Did you notice that? He didn't bring up all the drinks that he consumed, Coach.
But I tell my wife, though, if I was a tailgater, I'd probably never go into the game. I'd never make it into the game.
You know what? You know what I love about it? Lines move quick. They're efficient at Alumni Stadium.
Yeah, they are.
I got my 30 rack in the parking lot.
That's right.
And we're working hard to improve the tailgate situation here, so it'll be better than ever next year. We'll see.
Bingo. Hey,
we're working on it.
And I love it. We can't wait to see what you guys accomplish in year 2. Year 1 was awesome, and your first time coming on Foxborough Rush was great, Coach. Appreciate you taking the time and coming on the show. Love talking football with you.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you guys having me on, and it was great talking to you guys. Thank you very much.
That's Bill O'Brien, head coach of Boston College football and Foxborough Rush. Coach, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Hey, you're enjoying the show, Foxborough Rush? Well, we got new episodes that drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, available wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeart, and the podcast app on your iPhone as well. You can also watch the show, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch as well. All right, Trev. So what we get the week leading up to Super Bowl, a lot of availability, a lot of interviews. That's why Robert Kraft was talking to Chad Graff of The Athletic. Matt Patricia doing quite a media circus, getting his rounds going. And he appeared on Barstool Sports talking with Dave Portnoy, John Gruden, and Big Cat. And he was asked, how the hell did you become the offensive coordinator for that one season in New England?
Great
question. And here was his answer.
Yeah, that was interesting, right? That was definitely interesting. But I do think, though, I'm just going to say this. I don't think it was better the next year, right?
No, it's been bad.
So
it's been bad all the way around.
So, maybe we can let me off the hook here a little bit.
So, yeah, hey, it wasn't that bad. The next year, it was terrible. It was terrible the next year, Matthew, because you broke Mac Jones's brain. You literally untaught him how to play football. Trev, the reports that came out after this season that Matt Patricia was the offensive coordinator / play caller of the offense was that they'd be in a meeting room and Matt Patricia and Joe Judge will be, hey, so this is the play, so you run it. And the players will be like, okay, but what if the defense does this? Because a lot of offenses go to the line with 2 plays. Yep. Kill means you go to play number 2 because you saw something from the defense. And Patricia and Judge were like, we haven't gotten that far, so just go run the offense. It's all good. Hey, It was even worse next year, buddy. Because you were an awful offensive line coach, so the O-line regressed. You literally mentally broke Mac Jones, as did Bill Belichick, by thrusting him into that situation.
That's right.
Trust me, I'm not a big sympathizer for Mac Jones. I think he had a lot of flaws. I feel for the guy when you battle and fight your butt off to achieve your dream, which is getting to the NFL.
Right.
And you've had a successful rookie season. And then out of your control, the literal guy that controls your destiny, your fate on the field every Sunday, he gives you a florist and a custodian to run the offense. Nothing against either profession, should have nothing to do with football. Yeah. He gives you 2 podcasters that host Foxborough Rush to run the offense.
Right.
Do we know football? Yeah. Can I do the intricacies of running an offense on field? Hell no. So, hey, it was worse than next year. Bro, because of you.
That's right.
Because Bill O'Brien walked in, was only given an assistant tight ends coach. Thanks, Bill O'Brien, for stopping by the show. And it's not like he told me to say any of this. This is me, 10,000 feet in the air, my view. Because of you, Matt. Because of you and your beard and your pencil and your backwards. I just heard this like, well, it was worse than next year. So can I get off the hook? It was worse than next year because you were so bad in 2022, buddy.
Go off, King. Listen, this guy, I think it's a personality trait of his. He just comes off as pretentious, and he always has.
Yep.
And what's funny is
pathological liar.
And I know we have another soundbite, but even in the soundbite we just heard, it's just such a pretentious thing to say, oh, well, when I left, it didn't get much better, did it? You know, for this like holier than thou type of attitude, I'm smarter than you type attitude this guy has, the results just aren't there, are they? Like, no matter where he's been. No matter what stop he's been at, the results are never there for as smart as he thinks he is.
Yep.
And despite all of the failures in this guy's career, you would think he would be humble by now.
No.
Nope. Here he is, still pretentious,
behavior.
saying, oh, it was bad when I left, wasn't it? You are an idiot.
Also, that 2022 season, Trav,
Yeah.
they were 17th in points, 26th in yards. 2023, 31st in points.
Wow.
30th in yards. You guys were still bottom 6 in the league in yards.
Hideous.
In 2022, you had Mac Jones at least in a quarterback room with Brian Hoyer.
Yes.
But guess what Brian Hoyer did that basically got him sent out of Dodge by Bill? He would validate Mac Jones of like, dude, you're getting screwed over. Like, this is ridiculous. So Bill shipped him out. Jacoby Myers, who publicly commented and going, I still don't know what we're doing on offense. Bill let him sign with the Raiders and then signed Juju Smith-Schuster for the same money. Like, okay, George, you're talking about Jacoby Myers and a backup quarterback. That matters in the grand scheme of football.
That's right.
Matt Patricia, once again, because of how royally you effed up everything in 2022.
Everything you
with
touched.
your effing ego.
Yeah.
When someone goes, hey, you're calling the plays, you go, you know, I haven't done that. This is year 2 of this guy. Bill, I don't think I should do it. You go, yeah, sounds good, Bill.
I got
Whatever
it.
you need, bud.
Whatever you want. You want some water, too?
You need me to fill out some questions on the MannyCast for you and email it to you? Which, Bill, because we saw MannyCast questions from Matt Patricia. You need me to, I got you, Bill.
Yeah.
You need me to fill up your water? Yeah. Oh, you're going away to Nantucket with your 26-year-old girlfriend? I'll water your plants. Don't worry about it. I got you,
She's
Bill.
not that old, is she?
I actually don't think she is. Gosh. But that, like, all of that, like, well, it was worse than next year. Bro. Yeah. And again, and I said it, it's the same thing of the patience Patriots fans have to have. You got the OC, you got everything you need in a coaching staff, in my opinion. Yeah. You got what you need in a quarterback. You have a top 4 pick once again. It takes a year to reset the roster. 2021 was Josh McDaniels. So a GM, a front office, drafting and signing players for that OC's vision. 2022, it's you, Matt. You went to Bill probably like, hey, Tyquan Thornton, I want him at 50th overall.
Gee.
Should have been a 6th round pick.
Yeah.
He's not even on the team.
Right.
He could have gotten a ring with the Chiefs because he's on their practice squad. And that's because of you, Matt.
We knew 5 minutes in, too, that this kid wasn't going to be able to play. We saw it right away.
Tyquan Thornton, the moment they drafted him, he was a straight line runner. Yeah, he set records at Baylor, but like he was rail thin and couldn't run routes. Like you got to do more. So yeah, right. This like I knew it the second he drafted him. You knew it the second he played. You know. So here's an even better one. Here's another quote from Matt Patricia. Another part of that interview with him with Portnoy and Barstool Sports.
So I've done. Let me see. What have I done in the NFL right now? Head coach, GM, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. That's what I've done in the NFL. It's kind of crazy. That's a crazy ride, right? That's a crazy ride.
It's a crazy ride, man. It's a crazy ride, brother.
Crazy ride.
It's all one song, man.
Oh my
I was fired
God.
after 2.5 seasons with the Lions. Crazy. And then
That's crazy ride.
He throws a GM in there. Like, so are you going to say you were the general manager of the Lions? You were the guy that basically ran Darius Slay out of town? Oh, Trav, Darius Slay, contributor for the Eagles defense that just won the Super Bowl.
That's right.
And held Patrick Mahomes to look just lost on the field.
Great season.
For basically 3 quarters. That Darius Slay.
Yeah.
Matt Patricia, that when he was fired, players were celebrating with mimosas in the locker room. Yeah, crazy. I've been a head coach, a GM, an OC, and a DC, man. How nuts is that? And as a head coach, OC, and GM, I was terrible, man. Like, what? It's just, again, the revisionist history.
Yeah.
And this is the same stuff Bill Belichick would do towards his ending tenure with the Patriots. Like, it would be revisionist history. He would put things into how he wants you to take it in, how he wants you to interpret it. Of like, so Matt Patricia out there doing his media rounds, trying to like up his likability for someone to hire him.
Yeah.
Where they go, hey, Matt Patricia, you bring him in, some owner out there. Well, he was an OC, a DC, a head coach, and a GM. You want that experience. You want that as a defensive coordinator on your staff. It's just like, it just kills. The revisionist history drives me nuts.
Do you know how hated you have to be for someone to celebrate your firing with mimosas?
Bro,
like
mimosas,
you know,
that's personal. That takes effort.
Yeah.
Like, you got to buy orange juice and champagne.
Right.
You don't just get champagne.
And then remember, when you open the champagne, it's always a celebration, right? When it makes a little, right? Yeah, he's gone, bro. Like, you know, a normal thing would be a little fist bump. Hey, man, we survived that. No,
it's a
they are
relief.
popping bottles at your expense. Here's
Bro.
another thing that's very telling.
Yeah.
George, think about this. Everyone who was loyal to Bill Belichick and Bill Belichick actually liked is in Chapel Hill with Chapel Bill.
Yep.
Okay? Matt Patricia is unemployed.
Yep.
I mean, is that not telling? This guy who's been so loyal to Bill and anything you want, Mr. Belichick, he could literally get you any job he wanted to with UNC, and he didn't get you anything.
Yep.
I think that's very telling. You're not a consultant. You're not a NIL dude. You're not under Lombardi doing something. You are not involved. That is telling.
Hey, Matt, you're 3 years, 2.5 seasons with the Lions. How was your defense? Oh, well, they were my last 2 years, 31st and 32nd in score in
and
yards.
He's a defensive dude.
They were 26th and 32nd in points.
Right.
But I was a head coach, GM, you know, basically DC, and then when I called the plays for the Patriots, I broke their first round pick quarterback, like mentally broke him.
Does he get a job ever again in this league? Because Bill was his guy, right?
Did Joe Judge get that UMass job? Let me look this up real quick.
I do remember that being. But you know what, though?
No.
Okay.
He didn't get the UMass job.
But Joe Judge is a well-liked person around the league. Personality.
I don't know.
Matt Patricia is not. Joe Judge is actually respected.
I don't
Matt
know
Patricia
if he is.
not.
After his Giants tenure, like, you know, me being from Jersey, I watched that stuff up close. Like, he's not.
He's never going to the Giants again. That's for damn sure. But I'm just saying his name around the league has a little more weight than Matt Patricia's.
Maybe, yeah. It's a thing, though. It's like, what's his best bet? Steve Belichick takes over at UNC, and then.
Who's a bigger loser in your mind? Patricia or who's the guy that snitched on Bill?
John Harbaugh?
No, the guy on ESPN. Mangini. Who's a bigger loser? What's his name? Eric?
Yeah, Eric
Mangini or Matt Patricia?
He looked like the Penguin from Batman, Eric Mangini. We're never going to do a pod after midnight again. We're never going to be allowed.
Who's a bigger loser on a scale from 1 to 10? I'm going 11, Patricia. I'll go.
Mangini
Mangini's
like sticks to his guns. Like, I'm going to be a hater, and I'm going to double, triple, quadruple down.
Didn't he snitch?
Patricia.
Am I making that up? Wasn't he the one that leaked
the Spygate stuff?
It was Spygate or Deflategate. It was one of the gates.
Deflategate was the Ravens warning the Colts.
Okay,
Spygate, I got to read up on.
Mangini was Spygate.
Maybe,
I think.
yeah.
I'm gonna Google Eric Mangini snitch and see what pops up. You filibuster.
That's We're both Googling. It's the best part.
But I'm typing in snitch behind his name.
Oh, I like
that. I'm pretty sure. I could be making it up. Listen, I wasn't in the market at that time.
Spygate. They almost got in a fist fight over it.
He did. It
Nearly
was
had
him.
fist fight in 2008 over Spygate.
Okay, then he's the worst.
That's fantastic.
He's a rat.
Well, I mean, yeah.
If you're a rat, listen, man.
Loyalty is valued.
Patricia was loyal to Bill.
Yeah.
He was just a moron. Mangini. Oh, that's the worst. He was a rat.
Here's an excerpt from Seth Wickersham's book. The tension between Belichick and Mangini stems from ex-Jets coach's role in alerting the league about the Patriots illegally videotaping opponent signals.
See?
This, of course, kicked off Spygate. Mangini spent several years on the Patriots staff under Belichick. Belichick, meanwhile, has won 3 more rings.
See?
Where's a part of them getting in a fist fight? Okay.
They got in a fist fight? Man,
almost.
I really missed
tensions arose. So.
Wow.
Mangini got another chance. Browns was fired. Okay. Anyhow.
I wish I was around.
Look,
during
loyalty.
that time.
Loyalty isn't as common these days.
Bill would have beat his
Patricia
arse.
Loyal to a fault, but hey.
Yeah.
Rather be loyal than a snitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, at least I respect that. He's just an idiot. But
I don't want to be either of them, though.
No,
That's
it's way worse to be Mangini.
Right. Real quick, I can't say this in a vacuum. I'd rather be loyal than a snitch.
Yes.
You'll never catch me snitching.
That's right.
My boys could royally F up.
Snitches get
stitches. I will never snitch, but I will never cape for a guy like the way that Patricia does.
Fair.
It's insane.
Both are simps.
It is.
And on that note, thank you and good night.
Oh, my God. Yeah, Patricia and Judge are all-time simps. 1,000%, bro. Man, this is Foxborough Rush After Dark. He's Travis Thomas. I'm George Balekji. Shout out Bill O'Brien stopping by the show. I hope he only listens to the interview and not the end of it. I really do. Love you, B.O.B. Shout out BC. Thanks for having him on. Hey, make sure to catch your BC Eagles in the Bean Pot. Catch your boy Rinkside. Catch Trav and I on Foxborough Rush. New episodes 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Later.